Hi.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hi, Lauren. How are you?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for taking the time to allow me to interview you for my thesis. I just got your signature on the consent form, so thank you so much. That was very helpful. So I'm just going to give you a quick little brief summary of what I'm doing here. So I'm writing a thesis in my master's, and I'm focusing it on implementing gamification into nonprofit organizations in the hopes that it's going to increase engagement, donations, and overall volunteers uh, after the effects of COVID. So specifically in the Los Angeles area, because it's been impacted very, very heavily with what happened with COVID and the pandemic. So I hope that you're able to help me by answering a few questions. So I hope that kind of makes sense. And if you're not sure what gamification is, I'll maybe clarify as we go through the questions. So,
That was a great overview. That's perfect.
okay, awesome. Okay, I'm gonna get started. I'm gonna be reading the questions off. So if my eyes are off, it's because they're there. So let's start with, how often do you interact with nonprofit organizations in Los Angeles?
Hmm. I would say on a daily basis because I'm an employee for a nonprofit. I've been the program manager at RAD Camp, stands for Rising Above Disabilities Camp, for over 3 years now. So I work with people with special needs and I do that on a daily basis. But outside of my time as an employee, I also volunteer for them as well for those, overtime hours, so to speak. So I do that quite a few times a year when we're able to be on site at the camps.
That's awesome. Okay, so the next question is, what nonprofit organizations have you donated to or volunteered at before? I know you mentioned Rad Camp, but I'm not sure if there's maybe any others.
Yeah, I've donated to Black Lives Matter Los Angeles and the Quinn Murphy Foundation that's based out of San Diego. And then in terms of my time, I've been involved with Rad Camp since high school, so I'm very attached um, to that organization in particular. But I also participated in something called Project Serve while I was a student at Pepperdine University. So I went to Chicago for about a week, and every day we interacted with a different nonprofit there. I don't know the names off the top of my head, but there was an elderly home one day. We did a food bank another day, so that was really cool to see, the variety of services that are available to the different populations.
Mhm. No, that's fine. Even if you don't have exact names, that's still very helpful. So just to kind of follow up with that question, why do you choose to donate or volunteer at these organizations?
Hmm. I feel like it's a different reason for each cause. Like specifically for Rad Camp, I just like really believe in the power of inclusion. And having been a volunteer in high school and being able to establish a really personal relationship and friendship with someone with special needs, it, I don't know, just like really touched me and kind of left an imprint on my heart. So it's something that is easy for me to return to on a yearly basis because I want to see those friends that I've made those connections with. And that probably could be said for the other organizations too, just like I believe in the importance and power of inclusion. Like it's super important to make sure that society reflects the population. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And again, to just kind of follow up on those questions, if you have worked with these nonprofit organizations, how did you find out about them? Was it online, word of mouth, social media?
For BLM Los Angeles, one of my mentors from Pepperdine is heavily involved with them. So I saw it mostly on her social media and hearing her experiences with them. And then Quinn Murphy Foundation, our family that lives in San Diego, that's their nonprofit. So it's very personal to them. So we, of course, want to support that. And Rad Camp, I heard about in high school. They had a recruiter come give a presentation, and they got me from that moment on.
That's awesome. Okay, so if you have, which clearly you have, donated or volunteered before, what motivated you to do so?
hmm. I think, I mean, it's kind of my philosophy for work because I try to make work like a vocation versus, just like a career. Um, it's really important to give back. And I just like grew up with those kind of values. And I feel like Pepperdine also helped like reinforce that too. It's like you need to think outside of yourself, outside of your daily schedule, and really look around you and be in touch with the people around you. So I feel like there are daily reminders as we're out and about in the world that we need to connect and give back.
Yeah, I like that. So to move on to the concept of gamification, are you aware of what gamification is?
I wasn't before your overview, but now I think I understand that it's just like incorporating games into nonprofits just so you can increase, you said like donations and participation.
Yes, exactly. So
Okay.
it sounds like a very complicated concept, but it's fairly easy to understand. So it's just implementing game-like features like points, badges, rewards, sort of to incentivize participants to get them to, like I said, in this case, to donate more, to volunteer more. So I guess the follow-up question is, do you enjoy playing games, and would you say they motivate you to perform everyday tasks?
Hmm. I don't play games often, but when I do, I really enjoy it. Um, and what was the second part of that question?
It was, would you say they would or could motivate you to perform everyday tasks?
Yes, I think so. I'm very, to-do list, task oriented. So I feel like especially with like a point system, that would motivate me for sure.
And then do you prefer like playing games or doing activities as such individually or in groups?
I feel like it depends on what the task is. I'm open to both, but it's always more fun with a group.
Okay. And then would incorporating these game-like features that I mentioned earlier, would they, to donating or volunteering, would they encourage you to want to do it more often?
I think so, especially if you have, like for instance, the point system keeps coming to mind. If I had like a little card from the nonprofit with a point system, it's like that visual daily reminder. Um, so I feel like that would always bring the nonprofit, just like incorporate it into my daily life a little bit more. And if you're starting to go back and volunteer more and more, get to know more people, then that also will encourage you to kind of get in on the game side if you have teams and things like that. So I think it would be really positive.
Yeah, I love that idea. And then also, as I mentioned, my study is also in studying the effects of COVID. So would you say that COVID-19 has affected the way that you interact with nonprofits?
Absolutely. As an employee for RAD, I mean, we host in-person overnight summer camps, and we haven't been able to do that. So we've been transitioning everything to online services, which has been difficult because a lot of the people who have special needs already are receiving so much programming over Zoom. So there's like a bit of a fatigue with all of that. But we have been able to do that, and we can't wait to be back in person. That's ultimately the goal for everybody, because that's the experience. I feel like that's what really hooks volunteers is that in-person connection. We're all doing the best we can over Zoom, but those summer camps in person are probably what make the most significant impact.
No, I absolutely agree. And then just the last question is, do you prefer donating your time to volunteer or money or both? And if so, why?
Hmm. I think both. For the ones where I can be there in person, that of course is super fulfilling, and kind of fills my cup and keeps me going. So I definitely need to have that part of my life. But then for other organizations where I can't physically be there, like our family's organization in San Diego, it feels nice to know that I can support in another way. And if I found an organization somewhere else in the United States, I'd still be able to be in touch with them and support what they're doing and help further their mission. So I think both.
Wow, no, thank you so much. This definitely has opened so many new doors of things that I can research. So thank you so much for taking the time to sign the consent form and to allow me to ask you a few questions. I don't know if you have any other questions for me or if we're all
I
set.
don't. Thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed participating.
Thank you, Lauren. Well, I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Bye.